Welcome to another This Week in Coworking discussion.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the This Week in Coworking podcast feed. Once again, I am your host, Hector Colonis, and this is week 11, 2026. Just like in week 11, 2025, I am joined by a fantastic guest co-host, Rado Enchep. Rado, how are you?
Hey Hector, thanks for having me. Feeling good, working on exciting stuff, and happy to be a co-host of your exciting podcast for another time, 1 year later. So yep, looking forward to it.
I think we're starting a tradition, Rado. Week 11 is going to be Rado's week, and we'll just keep getting you in every week 11 just to see how the world is changing. But what is really interesting is we've got a pretty packed episode today. We're going to talk about a great webinar you guys are doing. We're going to talk about email as a marketing channel, but also a re-engagement channel. We're going to talk about walking as a benefit, not only as a perk, but as an actual productivity benefit. And then we're going to explore if co-working spaces are really like hotels. Let's get started with the first topic. Rado, you and the Office R&D team are putting together a webinar all about website conversions, e-commerce, etc. Tell us a little bit more about the webinar, who it's for, what people can expect.
The topic we have for the webinar is how to turn your website into your highest performing revenue channel. And the reason we picked that topic is that we're running our e-commerce module for more than a year now. And what we observe across many operators, and something that comes up again and again, are three main challenges that I can say operators face. First one is website design that really convert. Then we have marketing spend and how you measure ROI and how you optimize your marketing investments. And the third one is how operators actually utilize e-commerce engine that we provide to maximize their revenue from the existing inventory they already have. I would say the webinar is not only for Office R&D customers, because the topics about how to build your website and how to do efficient marketing and measure marketing ROI are pretty generic for the industry. The only topic that will be a bit more specific to maybe our customer base is our e-commerce engine that we're going to talk about. But I guess that might be interesting for not Office R&D customers as well.
Definitely. And we know that e-commerce is a very, very big topic. About this time last year, we released the undercurrents that Office R&D underwrote, all about exploring this growing revenue generator, which is e-commerce, and how it compares to the other ways that we generate revenue, tours, aggregators, etc. So it's definitely been something you guys have been working on a while. I think last time you were on the podcast, you had just launched officially Growth Hub, and that's kind of the things we were talking about back then. So it's fantastic to hear that this is now a year and you've obviously learned a lot. And there is going to be information there that is for not just Office R&D customers, as you said. But what do you think is like the biggest takeaway that someone can get from attending this webinar if they haven't even explored e-commerce yet?
Most of the things that we're going to talk about are based on our observations for running this e-commerce engine for the past year, and the data that we see and the results that some of the customers that are using our solution are achieving. And what we really want to share as something that we learned in the past year is how to design an efficient website that actually converts people who visit the website to real direct bookings and direct revenue, how to structure your marketing so it drives more qualified traffic, and last but not least, how to use all the solutions that we provide to maximize the revenue from the existing inventory without scaling the operational cost. So it's mainly about how to maximize revenue and profit margin without scaling operational cost. So I think it's a topic that should be interesting for everyone with running a co-working space, because at the end of the day, it's a business and it needs to be profitable.
Of course. And all co-working spaces are essentially subscription businesses with an on-demand component. So this is definitely something that people should be thinking about. I preach about this all the time in my day job. So absolutely recommend people join you for that. When is it? What time? What date?
Webinar is on March 26th. It's 11 a.m. Eastern time. You can find information about it on officernd.com. We hope to see more people joining the webinar and have a productive discussion around the commerce topic.
Love that. And it's a very big topic that I am very passionate about. So I will be there in the crowd, listening in, and maybe asking a tricky question here and there.
Okay.
What
We'll
I
watch for
wanna-
you.
You bring up a really good point around it's not just about your website or how you get people to your website, right? And there are so many ways creative ways that we're seeing brands market themselves, whether it's through offline advertising, whether it's through brand exercises, whether it's through events, right? We had a great submission this week about a very interesting type of event that wasn't necessarily, I don't think, in a co-working space, but a great idea for people who are like, we don't know how to engage our suburban market. Go and hit on that link that talks all about Pints and Ponytails, it's called. Great events for dads who have kids with long hair to kind of figure out in a safe environment how to actually brush and style long hair, which is just a great idea for events. But it also brings us to another 2 links that I shared this week, all about some tactics and strategies around email marketing and email outreach to leads and customers and prospects. A very interesting one, because a lot of people think that you have to spend all your money on ads and marketing, but everyone forgets about the email piece. Rado, what do you think? Do you see email being a big part of the e-commerce engine?
Yeah, honestly, I do. And to be candid with you, Hector, like in the past couple of weeks, we've been researching and building a kind of abandoned checkout recovery automation for our e-commerce solution. And while doing the research, there was a very interesting study that was kind of categorizing people in different groups. And the group that was most interesting for us was I think it was called offer seekers or something like this. So basically people who like the product or the space, or they have like very high intention to go and use a space or buy some certain product, but the price is not right for them. So they intentionally subscribe for receiving any promotional emails and newsletters, just waiting for that right price. And I actually recognized myself in that group just because I have one email that I'm using only for this purpose, basically subscribing and waiting for promo code. So yeah, I think email marketing is definitely something that co-working spaces can benefit from, and automating it can make it even more productive and drive them even more business.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good observation. I'd love to read that study as well. It's fascinating because, I mean, I definitely find myself in that bucket, especially when it's not time-sensitive purchases. And I'm like, oh, this would be good to have at some point, but I don't really want to wait until Black Friday because everyone is trying to market to me on Black Friday. But maybe there's a way to get in there. And I think that there's something to be said around nurturing those customers, right? You don't always have to sell for the discount, but there is a way of turning someone who has that high intent to increase the perceived value of the offering. Like knowing that someone was about to purchase a day pass, instead of discounting the day pass in the email, you send out did you know that most people go for the 10-day pass pack because it's cheaper? You're not discounting the specific day pass, you're actually increasing the lifetime value of that customer, but you're still speaking to that offer-seeking customer who may not have found it on your website and the checkout flow. Good example. Yeah, go for it.
And in our industry, like we were talking about e-commerce, but in the sense of the co-working and flex workspaces, the people who actually browse and reach the checkout specifically, they're with much higher intent than in the traditional e-commerce. So what you're saying makes even more sense, because re-engaging with them while they already had like this intention to use your co-working space, and offering might not be a discount, it just might be more value for the same amount of money they're paying.
Yeah. It also comes down to like just refining your offer, right? I've seen a pretty good example of a space where someone abandons on a day pass, right? The first email that goes out to them the next day is, hey, we're really looking forward to meeting you, right? Especially if it's a new customer, never been seen before, abandoned checkout. We're really looking forward to meeting you. If you are at all worried about the day pass, buy it. And if you're not 100% satisfied by the end of the day, speak to Candice or Simon and we'll issue a full refund. So you're just handling the objection, but still closing the sale, right? It's a trap to go in and be like, oh, we'll give you a free day pass to come try it out. which is great, but you've now shifted from a buyer to a trier, right? It's much better to have someone come in and be like, well, they were going to buy a 5-pack, sell them the 1-day pass, as opposed to giving a free day pass to try and close the 5-day. Sell them the one and structure it so that it comes down to, if you want to then go for the 5, we'll remove this fee, like we'll deduct the 1-day pass fee from the 5-day pass. That way you're still closing the deal, you're still kind of showing the perceived value. But on the flip side, just outside of pricing, is share what else they get from the day pass. Did you know that we also have, unlimited use of call rooms? We also have great coffee provided by this local roastery. Like these things that change that dynamic, because a lot of times you get to the checkout page and what's going through, especially on demand, is, can I just sit at a coffee shop? Can I just sit at my home office? So you really have to nurture that customer to see the additional value of completing that transaction or re-engaging the space or coming back in if they haven't come in a couple of months, right? You have to kind of use email marketing like that. And Taylor is one of the 2 folks that's shared links about this. And I've had a whole conversation with Taylor and Kevin on their podcast about treating email secretly, because people get their email everywhere, wherever they are. They could be playing with their kids. They could be having a stressful day. They could be going to bed, right? So think a little bit about what emails you're sending out, but also it gets them wherever they are, right? So a perfectly timed, well-crafted message can really drive co-working revenue. So I could talk about this all day, every day. So I'm going to move on to another topic. We did mention that you could be walking outside with, when you receive this email. We saw a really interesting post from Catherine Chestnut over at Alkaloid Networks, who shared that when she started her co-working space 11 years ago, one of the main reasons was that she hated commuting. And so she wanted somewhere that she could walk to work. What she found out over the last 11 years is the ability to walk was not only a benefit to people who were looking to join the space, but it's something that they actually used throughout the day. So they're based on the Atlanta Beltline. If you're listening in from Europe or you haven't been to Atlanta, that is a walkable green path that goes throughout the city or in certain section of the city and allows people to kind of just break away from their computer, break away from the desks, break away from the meeting room, either on the way to work or throughout the workday. And she's saying that this is actually one of the most touted or mentioned benefits of joining Alkaloid Networks was this ability to just step out of the space and you're on this green space and you're able to walk there. She also mentions that free parking is the second biggest reason that people join the space. So even if people drive in, they still happen to maybe walk throughout the day. Now, I love doing walking meetings. If I can figure out the right tech stack to do these podcasts while I'm walking out in a park, that's what I would do. Rado, what about you? Are you a big walker?
Yeah, we were like in North Ireland, we were huge fans of walking meetings. So especially one-on-one, we like probably 60-70% of the one-on-one that do not require a computer. We do them by walking. And when I was reading the newsletter today and that story, it reminded me of one of my favorite books. It's called Get Up, Why Your Chair is Killing You and what you can add about it and what you can do about it. So yeah, walking is truly one of the easiest way to stay active, I would say. So yeah, I really love that idea and hope I can visit that space one day.
Sure. We'll reach out to Catherine. Maybe what we can do a year from now, since week 11 is Rado week, we can record it on the Beltline while doing a walking meeting. Let's figure it out. Like, let's just put it out to the universe.
We can plan that.
And see if we can make that work, make that happen for us. But yeah, I completely agree. There is so much said around getting bums in seats in our industry, but not enough said about, okay, well, what about the productivity, but also wellness of the people in your space? We've seen a lot of gym memberships, kind of gym partnerships, getting people to kind of have wellness. We're seeing people add yoga into it. But just as simply as, if you have got great walkable paths around your co-working space, have you printed that out on a map, stuck it out on the back of the toilet door? Have you put it on your onboarding sheets? Does it go out to your onboarding emails? Like this is just showing A, people that you understand that this is something they should be doing. B, you're enabling them to do it because you're taking the thinking work out of it. And C, it positions you as a local thought leader or a local expert, right? Especially if you think about what you could put on that map. This is a great walking path, and there's like this fantastic local coffee shop on here. There's a fantastic mom and pop bakery that sells great bagels on this corner. Like you are really building a great relationship between your members, your neighborhood, and showing that you're not just here to have them sit at a desk all day. There's no reason why you couldn't start with a walking club, right? Find one of those afternoons where there's a lull in the space and say, hey, I'm going to go for a walk. Who wants to go for, a 15-minute walk with me? You build such tight community bonds that you have a really well-engaged group of people who love being in your space, not because you have great desk, Wi-Fi, check-in experience, e-commerce. And I've been talking for a very long time. Anything to add there?
Yeah, you have like great ideas. And honestly, like we've been doing this with a couple of colleagues here. Like we live in the same neighborhood and the office where we work is like 15 minutes walk from the neighborhood. So during the summer, we walk together and it creates like a bond. But yeah, if this is how promoted by the space, that would be even greater because otherwise you need to figure out what the great paths are. So yeah, definitely should be food for thought. Sure.
You can see I speak to way too many co-working spaces. So that's like, I think, a really good way to end that story. Catherine, thank you again for sharing this, and congratulations on 11 years of Alkaloid Networks. Appreciate all you do for the community and for your space. I want to end us with one story which I found really interesting. For a long time, co-working has been related to the hotel industry. It's hospitality. We have to service our members. They're always right. We have to like give. Kat Johnson makes the astute observation that, hey, we're not actually that similar to hotels. And it's a point that I heard made in another group conversation last week, where sometimes being too hospitable makes you the crutch for your members. Instead of them trying to come up with ways to use your space or create walking clubs and things like that, if you're too involved with leading your community, they won't lead themselves. And so this is a very interesting topic that's coming up. Rado, over to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I think maybe if we compare hotels and co-working, probably the hospitality, just the word, is what is comparable. But you can easily like make a difference between a co-working space that is just a building without a soul or without a community, and a co-working space or business that has a very strong community, and you can feel it. Like I can probably share like an interesting story. When I was visiting one of our UK partners, and the owner was doing a tour in the co-working space, and every second member we met while he was doing the tour was basically pitching me the space and telling me how great it was and how everything is perfect. People were introducing themselves and so on and so on. So these guys were actually, they didn't knew that I'm a partner. They thought I'm like someone who's doing a tour to rent an office, but they were like helping the guy to sell the space actually. And it was very genuine and like on plan. So it really, I kind of just for a few hours, I managed to feel that there is a strong community in that space, and you kind of naturally want to be part of it to some extent, which is very different from the hotel industry hospitality, where you can like very hardly find this tight relationship and warm relationship. It's more like a business for the hotel industry, and they do it because they need to do it. It's not the same.
Yeah, I mean, it also is very transactional, right? Okay, there are some hotels in the world that they do mixes for the people at the hotel where they get to meet other guests, right? Where you do activities with other guests. But the general hotel experience is you are on your own using a resource in this building. No one else is kind of interacting with you, and there's a team there to try and make that experience as seamless as possible. But that's kind of where the whole comparison breaks down. There is tighter bonds, as we've mentioned so many times in this episode, people joining a co-working space and being around other humans and being able to hang out with people who work in very different industries or similar industries. That never really happens in a hotel unless you're a very chatty person at the hotel bar. it's very rare that you'll get to kind of connect with other people in the same shared space. But given that we're both very, very technical people, that's also where the comparison breaks down. And I've seen this as a struggle with a lot of leaders who fall very much into the camp that we are like the hotel industry. And the hotel industry has this kind of technology and they can do all these great synchronization type things, but they forget that the products we have in co-working are oftentimes much more complex than a hotel room, right? A hotel room is either booked or not booked. That is the general data structure of a hotel room. How many beds does it have, and is it booked, is it not? A co-working space room can be a podcast studio, it can be a yoga studio, it can be a meeting room, it can be a day office, it can be a fractional office, and it can be a private office. And so it's much more complex from a systems and processes perspective than just, is this hotel room booked? And so I agree with Kat that there has to be a breakaway from we're like the hotel industry and more of like, this is the future of commercial real estate. And the model is very, very different. The product, the service, the data structures are very, very different. Have you had any of these kind of questions from people who compare it too closely to hotel software?
To be honest, not too many, but we do have like, especially when we started building the e-commerce part of the product, we do from time to time meet customers who try to compare how hotel reservation systems work and how our product works. And it's much simplified in the hotel industry just because what you mentioned, like in a hotel, like you book a room, you need a bed. While in our industry, you have like a portfolio of 7-8 very different products, starting from day passes, going to very large event venues where you can like do your wedding and whatnot. And usually the co-working business, in my opinion, it's a mix of multiple businesses that you have within one real estate property, let me put it that way. So yeah, much more complex, but with the complexity, I think there come the opportunities to actually build these bonds between people and actually produce a more productive work environment and meeting space for people to be part of.
Absolutely. And what it all comes down to is making sure that when people find you, they can book you. So what I'm going to leave you all with is go and join Office R&D at the webinar that they've got planned. The links are in everywhere, including the description of this podcast, wherever you're listening, or over on thisweekincoworking.com under week 11, 2026. Rado, thank you so much for geeking out with me today. It's always a pleasure. And I guess we'll see you again in week 11, 2027.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Hector. It's always a pleasure to be part of your podcast.